describe the sensations of that tension. What does that tension feel like? So in my world, we call this sensory grounding experience. So ways to describe the experience in the body might be tingling, throbbing, pulsing, pounding, tightening, floating. Then we can also use, like, if you're like you might have imaginations that going, oh, it's like butterflies, or it's like unicorns, or it's
When you're describing that, I'm thinking about, well, it's like cords and it's unraveling and there's a light and there's
So everyone will have their specialty in which they connect with their sensory ground experience. Some people might see color. Some people might see chords and shapes and lights. Some people might hear sounds. Some people might see characters from a novel or a movie. Some people might be like, oh, it kind of reminds me of a spider. Like, everyone's going to have their different way of experiencing sensory grounded sensations.
Hello and welcome back to the Jessica Papineau Show, Living Aligned, Styled with Purpose. Today we have a very special guest, Liana Blackburn, and I'm so excited to introduce her to you. We're going to have so many fun topics today and really dive into some fun things. So without further ado, Liana, I want to properly introduce you with your incredible resume I have over here. With over 30 years of embodied experience and a performance career dancing and working alongside Lady Gaga, Selena Gomez, Britney Spears, and Katy Perry, Liana Blackburn now facilitates a different type of stage, the body. Her somatic and unshaming work supports women in breaking cycles of emotional suppression, unworthiness, and outsourcing wisdom so they can feel, express, and live with grounded safety and self-trust and a wild belief in their gifts. I love that.
Ooh, it feels good to hear it back. To hear some
It feels good. I know. It's so good. So Liana and we were just trying to figure out how long it's been since we saw one another. And we determined it's over 2 years ago, which is astounding to me. I mean, it definitely feels like a long time ago, but and I think we had this conversation, you and I had like an impression on each other. And I just want to share a little bit about that, because I think that we need to pay attention when we meet someone and we feel something in our heart. And so I remember, Liana, when we first met, it was at a brand builders group event. And we were sitting at a table together, and I can't remember what our homework was, but we were doing like work at a table together to do with our brands. And I remember you sitting there, and it was your turn to go, and you were sharing something about your business and what you were working on. And literally, and the people that are listening right now that listen to my podcast regularly know that I like really get a little bit woo here. But I felt in my heart something happen. Like I almost felt like this connection to you. And I think it's because you are super connected to your own heart. And the work that you do, this somatic work, I mean, some people, this is a word that's being thrown around a lot now. And I hear a lot of people saying they're doing somatic work or they're leading, people doing somatic work. There's one thing where people talk the talk and know all the right things to say. And then there are people that actually are walking the walk and have walked the walk and have had their own experiences and transformations in their own lives, which make them qualified to serve others. And so you were that woman. You were that woman that serves other women in the most authentic, soul-connected, heart-centered way. And I think that's why we connected 2.5 years ago. And then all of a sudden, what you reached out to, I can't even remember how we reconnected.
I know. I think honestly, first of all, I'll never thank you for saying that because I remember sitting across from you and I remember the energy feeling from you and no one else at the table. It was like this field was flowing. And then I'll never forget, like maybe a week later, you sent me this voice message about this vision you had of my career and me doing this work. And you're like, I was in the shower and I had the vision of you in this career. And I was like, this woman is tapping into my field. Like we barely know each other. And she was able to really see a side of me that I wasn't even able to see within me yet. I remember you sharing this dream that you saw, this vision that you saw for what I could be doing and how my work could be supporting a certain group of people. And I remember going, wow, this feels so expansive. And I was like, oh, this is at my edge a little bit. Like, I love how she's showing me a little bit of an edge for me. And I remember having a whole conversation about it with my family. Like, this mom who barely knows me, listen to what she sees my work becoming. And it helped me expand my own version of my work. And like, I'll never forget it. And I still, it come back to it because I'm like, oh, I remember that was my edge. And it's not so much my edge anymore. Like I've seen how.
Oh my gosh, I love this.
Yes. Yeah. And I think also something about it just, as I was feeling over the last couple years, that edge not really feeling as edgy for me anymore. I was feeling more comfortable within it. I think you were starting to come back in my field because I was starting to feel more safe with the version of me that you saw in me that I felt that felt farther away. And now it doesn't feel so far away.
Oh my gosh, that is huge. You know, women like you and I, Liana, that are doing big things and serving at the level that we serve others in this heart-centered way, we need other women that are aligned with us to put the mirror up. Because sometimes, and that really is my superpower. And I don't think I claimed it back then. It just was so automatic. There were certain women that I was like, oh my gosh, I see her. Like I saw you as your highest version. And I now have that kind of mirrored back to me. Like in the last, 2.5 years, I've claimed that as well. So I want to hear more about this expansion. And can you share, Liana, this journey of like, you have done some really big things and there was a time in your career past life, which was what, like 11 years ago or something, where you were dancing and you're on these big stages with celebrities and.
Yeah, I think the last big traveling tour I did was Selena Gomez in 2016. But after that, I still was doing some performing work, but I was starting to shift and going, okay, I've kind of been a vessel for other people's visions. As a dancer, as an original dancer, I've been a vessel for helping other people's dreams and goals come to life. And I knew I wanted to start prepping to have a family. And I was like, I want to shift. And now I want my body, my purpose to be a part of my own vision in a bigger way that has impact. So I started to shift how I was showing up in the world with turning on a little bit more of the entrepreneurial part of me to start going, I don't want to just be showing up when people tell me I'm allowed to show up. I wanted to start creating the spaces that I wanted to be in and help other people show up to that space. So I started shifting around 2018. 2019 was when I started building my own experiences from taking the decades of what I've learned from dance and performing and all those things. When I thought that was going to be my life, I thought performing and being on these stages next to these big artists and I thought that was like, gosh, how can I peak this? How can I top this? This is like, I was experiencing things that people never experience in a lifetime. It was like bigger than big. And I thought that was it. And then when I had a transition in 2011, which was my health journey transition, I started to see how when I shifted my priority to focusing on more internal work, because as a dancer, everything was like external. Look at me. Look at how I look at how my body moves. Am I pleasing to the eye? Am I good? That was how, even though it was always fueled from a place of expression, it was always fueled from the desire to express. Still, it's very hard to avoid being a dancer and not have that physical appearance be such a big deal. So the external became so important. And so when I started prioritizing the internal, my whole world started changing. My purpose started changing. And it completely shifted the trajectory of my entire life.
Mm. So there was like, what I find so interesting is, you're out there, you're performing, you're an incredible dancer, you're like with the elite, people out there, you're viewed like, and I'm sure back in, what did you say, 2016?
2016 was my last big tour.
Yeah, you're like dancing on a stage with Selena Gomez. Like, other people viewing you are probably like, oh my gosh, she looks confident, she looks powerful, she looks beautiful, all of these things. What was going on for you as well? Because you talk a little bit about your health journey, but that journey, there was something that was visible that you were having to cover at that time too. Correct?
Yeah, I love your mysterious. Like, the story, but you're like, I want to know.
Come on, bring it.
Yeah. So between about like 2010 and 2018, it was like it's 2011. It's a 7. I don't know if people know about like the 7-year cycles that the body goes through and all these things, but it was a strong 7-year cycle for me where I didn't know I was in it at the time, but I was covered in cystic acne from my jaw down my neck to even all over my back. And it was to the point where I was radiating heat. I could even feel, just when I brought my hands closer to my face, I could feel the heat radiating because there was so much inflammation. There was so much charge and energy and pain. There was so much pain, emotional, physical. And it was so polarizing because here I am on these big stages, like you're saying, being seen as this beautiful, this confident, and needing to portray that I am this thing. And there was a part of me that felt that. There was a part of me that did believe that. And then there was this other part of me that was like, how disgusting are you? Look at you. I had this polarity living within me. And I want to say that it really, it was so intense and it was so painful and difficult, and it was very shaming. I really had a lot of shame around it, but I didn't spiral down into a dark, destructive place because I think I had so much self-worth from how I was raised, from how I allowed myself, my family allowed me to follow my love and my passion and to follow the thing I was good at from when I was young. So I don't want to only talk about this and neglect another big part of my story, which was I had self-worth living in me. Mm-hmm. And so when I came up against this really challenging physical obstacle, although I was rooted in shame, it was also held, grounded by like, you're worthy. You deserve working on this. You deserve to prioritize yourself. And so for 7 years, I did. I was like, something's not right. I believe in my body. I believe in myself. And although I was falling prey to the fix this, get rid of this, fix me, I fell prey to that because I didn't have the vocabulary and the awareness that I had now. But there was an underneath that I didn't know until later, this worthiness. I'm worthy of putting myself first. And I think a lot of people that come across these really intense challenges in their life feel unworthy of even working on themselves, feel unworthy of doing something about it. And they start to feel like, I deserve to suffer. I deserve to pain. I did something wrong. And this is my calling. This is my story. And I was like, absolutely not. This is not my story. I'm like, we are going to, but it became my story in a beautiful way, of course. But I was like, this isn't the end. This is the alchemy. This is the catalyst. This is the shift. This is where purpose really drops in. And I was able to see that.
Ooh, this is powerful. And I just want to highlight something that you said, that those that are listening, I really want you to pay attention to this, because you talk about this polarity, right? That there's this shame feeling, this I'm ugly or I'm gross, but then also I'm powerful and people are watching me and I am worthy. And so I think and I hear so many women talk about that it's one or the other. It's this or that. I feel worthy or I feel unworthy, and that's not reality. And so really the fact that you were curious about this and you paid attention to the both and, right? Because it's in the middle of that polarity and that tension. That's the magic. And that's what you leaned into. Can you keep going? Share more. How did you get to like where you are?
When I hear you say that, I'm reminding myself of the perspective I had when I was younger in that moment. I didn't realize this is what I was doing. I didn't realize I had worthiness. I didn't realize I had this extreme determination and devotion I didn't realize this was a part of my chemical makeup at the time. But now that I can hear you say it, now that I can reflect, I can see that that was built in me. And that was a part of it. But at the time, I felt disgusting. I felt ashamed. I couldn't look anybody in the eye. I couldn't stand in the sun. I was hiding. My hair was always covering my face. I was always wearing hats. I was always wearing scarves. I mean, my whole every day was wrapped around how can I make sure no one sees the truth? And that's what I was like, literally, that was my goal. How can I make sure no one sees the real me? The real me wasn't the real me. The real me was a message my body was sending me. At the time, I was like, I don't want anybody to see this. But what I later learned was the acne wasn't the real me. It was a part of my body sending intelligence to let me know there was something deeper that I was not understanding, that I was not listening to, that needed my attention. And my body knew how much I prioritized my physical appearance, how much it meant to me, how much it meant to my career. My body knew that this was the only way it was going to get me to do something. Because if it tried to get my attention through some sort of internal thing, I might have just pushed on and never listened to it. But because it was unavoidable, I couldn't look at myself. I couldn't perform. I couldn't do my job. I couldn't do the thing I love to my best ability. My body said, I am going to give you an unavoidable challenge. And so it showed up on my face. It showed up on my skin. It showed up in this place that I had so much pride and so much connected to my value.
Yeah.
And so it took me years to know. It took me 7 years to clear my acne. And it took 7 grueling years of going, I believe in my body's intelligence. I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep going. What's the deeper meaning? What's the deeper message here? And it wasn't until I started understanding that I had suppressed emotions. Here I was, I'm a dancer, I'm expressive, I'm liberated, I'm vulnerable, I'm all these things. I thought I'm an artist that expresses, I thought I was in touch with all of the parts of me until I dove deep and I listened to where the acne was coming from. And it was shame. It was deep shame that was living in me. And so it wasn't until I started seeing my suppressed emotions and this shame that lived within me. And I started listening to it and I started expressing it. I started being in rooms with people who knew how to help me see the pieces of me that were covered in shame. I keep saying this word, but yeah. So there was this turning point where it happened fast. I'm talking fast. When I started to do these daily practices, when I started to connect with my emotions and my suppressed shame in this way, like it was just like, oh, the veil cleared. It was crazy.
And what was this daily practice?
So it started with affirmations that were not just like, oh, I believe I'm this, because I was confronting. I tried doing those. I tried looking at myself in the mirror and I tried going, you're so beautiful. And I would look at my acne and I was destroyed. I was like, I can't love what I see. And I felt like these mantras and these mirror practices couldn't work because I couldn't believe what I was saying. So I first went away from the mirror. I was like, I'm not going. The mirror amplifies a lot. So when you're not ready to see it, can be really hard. So I started doing these practices first thing I woke up, and I would start connecting gratitude. I was starting to pull in not things that I didn't believe I was, but I was actually starting to see what I was grateful for that I didn't recognize before. Because I was hating on a part of me. I was hating my acne. I was trying to get rid of it. I was trying to fix it. Why are you here? You're so ugly. And that was energy coming back at me. I was connecting to my body with such disgust. I had that for myself. So I needed to change how I was relating to my body, but I needed to do it from an authentic place. So I would wake up, and before I got out of bed, before I would do anything, I would physically touch every piece of my acne and I would talk to it. I would dialogue with it as though it was something that, like, as though it was another being. Like if I were to look at a 5-year-old that was covered in whatever, in burns, in something that they thought was disgusting, or other people, I would never see that as disgusting. I would see something else in it. I would still be able to see the beauty of this child. So I was able to do that with myself, but I started with gratitude. So it sounded like, I'm so grateful you helped me to see how poorly I was eating, because I ate terribly. I'm so grateful you helped me to see that I wasn't listening to my body, that I didn't know how to connect. I'm so grateful that you helped me slow down. I'm so grateful that you brought me to these people in my life that are changing I was able to connect with gratitude. And it was life-changing. And I would do it physically. I would touch my skin. I would connect with it. I would feel it. I would touch it. And then I had these practices of like, I would write down 20 a day. I am, fill in the blank, something that I really believed in. I am wildly passionate. I am beautifully empathetic. I am devoted to the arts. I am devoted to my family. I would write down 20 every day of things that I know I am, that I believe in. So that helped bring my self-worth back to the table that I was losing, because I got to see how many things I actually am.
Hey there, it's Jessica Papineau. If your wardrobe feels more like a source of stress than a source of confidence, I have something special for you. My Simplify and Elevate course is an online, step-by-step journey to transform your wardrobe and your mindset. You'll learn how to let go of what no longer is serving you and curate a wardrobe that truly reflects the powerful woman you are. Imagine starting each day with clarity, confidence, and a sense of ease, knowing exactly what to wear to feel unstoppable. This isn't just about clothes, it's about stepping into your full presence. Join me at csjstyling.com and let's elevate every aspect of your life, starting with your style. I have full body chills right now. I have full body chills because I'm just thinking about, you said a few things. You said you didn't believe that you were beautiful at that time. Like you were looking in the mirror, and so you were what your truth is that you were not beautiful. So every time you looked there, you were like that was magnifying that. But what I find so interesting is that you were self-aware and you paid attention to that, because instead of doing that, focusing on what was great. And I think this is where sometimes we fall short, because we get stuck in these limiting beliefs and we marinate in them. And as we know, being in the self-development world, what we believe and what we focus on grows. And so you nurtured the truths that you had that were actually true.
Yes.
And it grew.
Yes.
And so this practice, is this something you discovered? Like you basically learned how to heal yourself?
So I definitely had support. So I remember going to the Summit of Greatness, Lewis Howes, like years and years ago, and being introduced to Marissa Peers, who has RTT, rapid transformational therapy. This is her approach to a certain type of therapy. And I remember going, I'd never heard anybody talk about therapy like this. And this was years ago when I wasn't aware of somatic therapy. I wasn't aware of any of this stuff. This was like my first introductory to feeling like I gravitated toward a modality that spoke to my heart. And I was like, what is this? I started researching immersive peers. I found a rapid transformational therapist close in my area. And it was the first time I ever gone to like actual therapy. Now, to me, I was like, oh, dance is my therapy. Art is my therapy. I was like using, which is a part of therapy, but I didn't know how to use my art at that time to truly transcend. I needed an outside witness. I needed a different perspective. I needed the loving space to be witnessed in the shame so that I could transmute it. I wasn't able to do it myself. And now that I know, and now I'm trained in the work, now I know how important it is to be seen, to all those parts of you that feel shamed and are suppressed, to not only be seen by you, but they need to be seen in loving witness, because so much of the shamed parts of ourselves happen in connection to other people. They happen in relationship, and they need to transmute and transform and alchemize in connection with people. So that's why it's so important that we find people that can see us and see the beauty in us and help us see that within ourselves. And so that was my first step. I started doing rapid transformational therapy, and she helped me. She was like, you can't do this. Like, I won't even take you as a client unless you commit to doing this every day. Like, literally, I can't take you. And I was like, I am someone who grew up practicing everyday dance. I know what it's like to be dedicated in it. So she was like, you have to do these journal prompts. You have to do these journal entries of gratitude. And I am every single day. I have stacks and stacks of journals from doing it. The practice that I did with my skin, the gratitude for physical, was something that I discovered on my own when doing the mirror exercise that so many people talk about doing. Look at yourself in the mirror, talk to yourself lovingly. And I was like hysterically crying every time I did it. And so that was me going, I know why this works, but it's not working for me. Let me find another way. I believed in why it worked, but it wasn't working with the mirror. So I started to find another way, and I knew how to connect with my body. So I created that other way of actually physically touching. Now there's studies coming out in Harvard of how impactful the way you talk to your body is, and how it can be more impactful than taking supplements, than all these other modalities. And that they're like, this is brand new studies coming out that prove that talking to the body and the way you connect in that way completely shifts the chemical and the cellular level. I mean, it's powerful.
Yeah. This is incredible. So where are you today? So you've gone through this entire journey of, self-discovery. You've learned how to heal yourself from the inside out, literally. And so today you've really brought in your ability to express on the outside and this somatic work, and teaching other women how to truly be in their bodies and feel connected to their bodies in a way that is completely the opposite of shame, that is, true embodiment, and like their temple is their body. What are you... This is so exciting because, I just love how you invested in yourself in this way. And, and those that are listening, that was the first step, was connecting to the place of you that felt worthy, and knowing and grounding in that, and taking that first step to investing in yourself. And now, bringing that into all your journey and your story and what you went through along the way, and you've crafted your own way to serve. Now, can you share a little bit about that and what that is like, what that is?
Yeah, I want to, even when you first said you worked on healing yourself, I went, what's so interesting is like, I don't feel like I healed myself. I feel like I allowed my body to do the healing that it knows how to do. I got out of the way of my body's natural ability to heal. We are all wired. Our bodies are meant to restore balance. Our bodies are wired. We watch a wound, a cut heal so beautifully when we give it the right environment to do what it knows how to do. If we have an open wound and we keep scratching at it, we keep poking at it, we like that scab, we want to pick it off. If we were to put it in the sun all the time, if we give the body the environment it needs to thrive, it does its own healing. It's like I didn't heal my body. I allowed my body to do what it's designed to do.
Ooh, that took a lot of trust.
Yes.
I mean, I'm just hearing this and I'm like, there's words that are like coming to my mind right now. And I think the beginning of any transformation, there requires a surrender. So it sounds like you did a huge surrender to like get to that place of faith that your body was going to do the work for you. I think that's incredible.
Yes. And I was determined to be a companion to my body. I was determined to build an intimate, loving relationship with myself so that my body felt like it was supported along the journey, knowing it was going to be painful. I wasn't afraid of the pain. I wasn't afraid of what was coming up because my whole life I leaned into we know so many times artists are like dramatic and they feel all the feelings and they're not afraid of all the things. And that was me.
Yeah.
So when I was confronted with this idea that I had parts of me that I hadn't seen, I wasn't afraid of it. I was like, let's go. Tell me more. Let's dive in. And although I had although it was so painful, I was someone who grew up being like, yeah, it's going to hurt. Let's keep going. Let's see how much I can grow. I mean, as a dancer, I was hurting every day while I was growing. I was used to the pain I didn't see it as always suffering. Although I felt suffering a lot of the time, I knew that pain was a part of the process and that it was how I perceived pain that mattered. And so I kept falling into these dark holes and going, I know that I'm just rooted. I'm getting rooted here. I'm planting seeds and it's dark, but I know something's going to grow from this. And I'm telling you, there were sometimes years where I was in the dark and didn't know the seeds were planted, but I just kept trusting. And I was finding the people who believe in that. And so they were helping reinforce for me. It was like I was finding the books and the people that were doing the work that I was feeling in my body, but I didn't know how to speak. So when I came across modalities, I was like, I need to get trained in that because that's what I just experienced myself, but I didn't know how to say what was happening. It was so mysterious for me because it was like no one else around me was talking like this. No one else was experiencing this kind of transformation. So it was like my fields started opening and going, where else do I find people who believe in this, who know how to facilitate this, who know how to talk about this? And so all of a sudden, the fields, the world, the energy, the universe, whatever you want to call it, started showing me these are the people that believe what you believe and can help you describe this, can help you understand this more on a science level, on a body level, deeper. And so I started leaning into these trainings and I was trained in somatic. At first, I worked with neo-emotional release, which is a way to see the body's intelligence as not just everything's happening for a reason. It's not just that. It's I trust the body's intelligence and I'm going to allow it to unfold free of shame. I'm going to allow it to unfold its needs, its messages, its experiences, not just because they all mean something, but they all need to be moved through. I don't always need to logically understand what's happening, but I do need to allow my body to move with it, to move through it. And so I stopped needing to try to understand everything. I was like, my brain's not going to logically get a lot of this, but I need to move with it, to move through it. I need to allow it to be there. I need to unshame it. I need to unwrap it. I need to bring it into the light and allow it to be moved through. So I started training in neo-emotional release. And then that led to my unshaming training, which I just did for the last year. And so I'm bringing now these worlds together of somatics, unshaming, process work with my decades of experience of expression through the body and connecting with my body. So I'm bringing these movements together. So like you said at the beginning, I can't remember if it was when we were talking or if you said it on this podcast, but a lot of people use the word somatics. A lot of people use that word. It feels a little elusive. You're not really sure what it means. And everyone has their different way of approaching. But for me, my magic is movement. is expression through sound and movement and allowing the body to unshame. You can see even my hands are like dancing as I talk. It's like, I have such freedom of expression in my body. And that's my magic. That's the magic I bring when I'm serving the people I'm serving is to, so many people do the work and they're like, they're still, and they just see it in their mind. They have these visions, they can see it, but the body needs to experience it to create new data. We can't just think it. It needs to experience it with movement, with sound. The body needs to know that this is real. It needs to have a visceral experience. So now I bring the process work and the unshaming through the body, through movement and sound and dialogue. We do phantom dialogue a lot. I don't know if you've ever talked about that here on the podcast.
No, but everything that you're talking about, it makes so much sense to me. And I remember when I first heard about somatic work, and I couldn't totally wrap my brain around it because I saw my body and my mind as almost like separate entities, and I didn't know how to connect the two. My superpower is my imagination. Like I can see things. When you were talking about that, I'm like, yeah, you move, and I move my body, but you like move your body. And I mean, I literally I can close my eyes and see pictures of things and see movement and I can see women in their highest versions. But I remember it was interesting. It was kind of like what you were talking about where you had this massive change, like this massive, you finally got it. And I remember when that happened, and I had a vision, and then I dropped in and I was like, oh, wait, I'm just going to stay here. And then the movement started to happen in my body as I was envisioning it. And I noticed some that are listening to this are going, what in the world are you talking about? But let me tell you, when you experience it, it is magic. And I see so many women out there, so many women that I serve that share with me that are on this journey of self-development. And I don't know if you hear this a lot, Liana, but I hear it all the time. I even had someone tell me recently that they went to a Joe Dispenza event and they said they felt this elation and this ascension, and they came back and they're like, I'm floating and I feel amazing. But every time because I work with women on their exterior, right? Every time they tried to look in the mirror or even imagine themselves, they weren't even in their body. And so the fact that you're sharing how you've integrated these two modalities, that's magic, because again, it's like, it's not one or the other, it's both. And
Yes. I want to speak onto that because I don't want it to feel so far away, and I'm very expressive. I'm very free, and I know that someone that could see that doesn't feel like a desire to move their body in the way that I do, or is even like, I don't even, I can see how that could feel very distant. This practice or this way of thinking can feel far. So I want to bring it closer. I don't want it to feel so far and so grand. I am big and dramatic, and I love that about me, but not everyone's expression needs to be like that. Everyone has a different dial. Everyone has a different tuning dial. So I want to actually just give an example of what wonderful would look like. So I'm going to use an example of a client that I had yesterday that I was doing with Zoom. We weren't in person. They were sitting down and they were expressing that there was tension in their throat, and there was connected to some nervousness that they were experiencing. They were nervous. We were talking about some things that they were nervous about in their life. Some people might describe it as anxiousness. Some people might describe it as a lot of different things. And a lot of times there's modalities that say, just name the experience, and that will help. To me, I'm actually like, let's get away from the labels and get away from the story of it, and let's go into the sensation of it. This is how we start getting connected to what our body is experiencing, is we remove the story, we dive into the sensation. So I'm going to talk about what that means. So we start a lot of times with the story. This is what I'm feeling. This is what's happening in my world. And it makes me feel nervous because I'm nervous about this thing that's happening later today. And this thing that happened 5 years ago reminded me, right? That's the story. And then I'm like, okay, where do you feel when you're talking about that? Where do you feel that in the body right now? And so I did a little body scan with her. We did a breathing exercise just to get her to tune in. She starts to feel it in the throat. She starts to feel tension. And I'm like, great, let's go into that space. Describe the sensations of that tension. What does that tension feel like? So in my world, we call this sensory grounding experience. So ways to describe the experience in the body might be tingling, throbbing, pulsing, pounding, tightening, floating. Then we can also use, like, if you're like you might have imaginations that going, oh, it's like butterflies or it's like unicorns or it's
Yeah, I see it. I see it. When you're describing that, I'm thinking about, well, it's like chords and it's unraveling and there's a light and there's
yes. So everyone will have their specialty in which they connect with their sensory ground experience. Some people might see color. Some people might see chords and shapes and lights. Some people might hear sounds. Some people might see characters from a novel or a movie. Some people might be like, oh, it kind of reminds me of a spider. Like, everyone's going to have their different way of experiencing sensory grounded sensations. And then when I asked her to do that, she right away, I was like, so what's the experience like? And she started doing this with her hands. So right away, her hands started getting involved. And I said, I noticed your hands are rubbing your neck. Tell me about that. And she's like, I think my hands just want to massage the throat and want to soothe the throat. And I'm like, okay, so what's happening right away? This is a very natural tendency. When we're having an uncomfortable experience, the natural desire is to get rid of it, to soften it, to fix it, to get away the tension. So her body's desire to massage was also connected to unconscious shame of this shouldn't be here.
right.
I want to get rid of it. Like, let's get this away. Let's get rid of this. Let's get this away. So I was like, I want to be very clear about something. While we are exploring the body, we don't have to do one or the other. We can soothe ourselves and express ourselves. We can do both at the same time. So I said, okay, I see your body wants to soothe and kind of get rid of this experience, but I want to get into what that tightness feels like. What does that tightness feel like? And then she started gripping her with her hands, started going like this. And I was like, okay, so we don't want the tension to go to our body. I want you to show me away from your body what the tension looks like. She started doing this with her hands. And I was like, interesting. Okay, tell me more. And not tell me more with your words, show me more. What does that tension in your throat feel like if your hands were to show me? And so she started doing this. And so, and she started up, and I said, and if they could do more of what they wanted to do, and then they got a little bigger and they started making bigger, and then they were making a sound. And I said, yeah, what does that sound like? She's like, whatever. She started making sounds. And within seconds, she goes, this is so crazy. Her eyes were closed. This is so crazy. I don't feel the tightness anymore. This is crazy. Like, within seconds. And I emphasized with her, I was like, just so you know, the goal can never be, I'm expressing to get rid of the thing. I'm doing this to fix myself. Although many times, yes, the symptoms will subside. The feelings will go away. Yes. But that can't be the goal, because when we go in with that objective, we're leaning into connecting with our body from a place of shame, from a place of it's not good to be what it is. It needs to be different. So we need to go in with a sense of curiosity.
Oh, I knew this is so good. This is so good. Because yes, we get ourselves, we want to fix things. Our ego gets us tied to outcomes, and the curiosity. I love that, because it's our ego that's made the judgment about what it is. And when we just go there and be curious and spend time with it, that's incredible. So can you share? Because I'm just like, tell me more. I want more. And I'm sure those that are listening are like, how do I get into Liana's world? Like, what is she doing? Well, first of all, you have to be following Liana. Like, you have the most, I get mesmerized by watching your dancing on Instagram. That's one thing. But I tell everyone, how can they get a hold of you? How can they be in your world? All the things.
Yeah, things are evolving. I'm feeling like I'm really in a place. This is why I think I felt to reach out to you, because just within the last 6 months, I've been feeling a shift of how I'm blending all my worlds together. I've been training with David Bedrick this last year. He's an incredible man, do such great work with shame. And so my training program has just come to an end, and I'm feeling now through my body going, now I know how to weave these pieces in. Now I know how to weave my 3 decades of experience with dance and liberation and expression with this somatic and unchaining process work. So I'm just starting to really understand how these are coming into play. I hosted a retreat in October, and that was like, oh, this is it. This is what it is. So I can't wait to be doing more in-person retreats. But until those start to settle in and start to transform, I'm staying in the virtual world where I'm hosting movement spaces once a month, where we're using choreography that are intentionally aligned to connect with the body. So this last month, I did a connection with expanding your capacity to receive, to change your relationship to wealth, so that wealth isn't so wicked, that it can be delicious, and you can ask for your value without feeling icky. And so we are connecting movement so that your body can experience and create new, like, cellular data that you can receive money with ease. You can, like, the song that we danced to was called Paid to Exist. I am paid to exist. So we're doing movement and choreography that are connected to different intentions that we want our body to open up to and create a new relationship with. So online, you'll see, the different offerings that I'm having through movement. And if you're in person in Los Angeles, because I'm in LA, I do in-person experiences too, where we're not using choreography, where we're just allowing the body to find its own movement quality and its own experience. What I was sharing, like with the throat, we're doing processing like that in groups. So there's a lot of different things that I'm unfolding and creating right now. I'm like in this yummy creative bubble. So on my Instagram account is I am Liana Blackburn. And that's where a lot of the things are starting to unfold. And then I have a membership. If someone's like, I love dance and I love wanting to move my body and express myself and kind of get to know myself in this way, I have an online monthly membership where I have over 100 dance tutorials that connect you with a certain intention. So you can start accepting, and you can scan the dances by emotion. So you can go in and be like, oh, I'm feeling like a lot of anger. I want to move through this. Or, oh, I'm feeling a little lack of confidence. I want to gain my self-confidence. You can find a class connected to an emotion that you're either experiencing that you want to express, or something that you're struggling with that you want to build a relationship with. So that's really fun.
That sounds amazing. Okay, so we'll make sure we have everything linked up here with your website, with your Instagram, all the different things. So thank you so much, Liana, for coming in and just like pouring into this space and sharing your experiences and, all the different modalities that you use to serve women. I'm just so happy that you reached out to me again, and I love you.
I'm so grateful for your heart, for your visionary spirit, for you to be able to see what you saw in me. I know that you see that in other women. I know that's how you help serve. And it's totally helped me see a bigger picture. And so I'm just so grateful for you and how you show up to your relationships in your life. And yeah, the time is just flying because it's like so special to connect and talk with you here. So thank you for being your mom. And yeah, thank you.
Well, I'm honored. Thank you so much.